Hi, I'm Susan Papanicholas from How Does Your Garden Grow in Seattle, Washington. It's the middle of May and I'm here today in my own garden to show you this really fabulous climbing hydrangea. This is Hydrangea anomola variety petiolaris. It is a hydrangea, but it grows as a vine instead of as a shrub, how we would normally think about hydrangeas growing. But when you look at the flower head, you can kind of see it has the same type of flower head that a lace cap hydrangea has, where you have these sterile florets around the outside of the flower cluster and fertile florets on the inside of the flower cluster. This is the part where the pollinators will come and fertilize the flowers and they can make seeds. This part is just for show, and I think it attracts the pollinators. These flowers will fall off more quickly, leaving these showy sterile flowers left in place. And so in the summer, this part kind of turns into tight little round seeds, whereas these stay open as a little dried flower in a ring on these flower clusters for most of the summer, adding to its long season of interest. I really love to plant this plant in the shade. It's really beautiful and lush, adding a lot of green very early in the season. It's one of the first plants to leaf out in my garden. Then here we are in May, and it's got this glorious flower display on it. It's just getting started, and there's a lot more blooms to come. It's so fresh and pretty here in this shady corner of my garden. And then it will get a little bit of yellow fall color in fall. And you see the bare branches in the winter, which is sort of an interesting framework. So it has a lot going on in the winter as well. And then it leaves out again early in spring. So it's a plant I really enjoy having in my garden year round. It's also a plant that I really enjoy using for cloaking a surface. This type of vine doesn't need a trellis to climb. It's holding on with little aerial roots to whatever it grows on. So it's clinging to the fence to get started, and then as the woodiness of it builds up, it's sort of holding itself up like a shrub would. But the new growth that's loose and lax is hanging on to the fence, or it can also be very pretty grown up a mature tree trunk. It's a great vine for covering a surface. You can also grow it up and over an arch, and you get these pretty flowers on a trellis or an arch, but it doesn't need kind of that trellis structure to hang on to. It just needs a flat surface to cling to. Another thing that's super cool about this vine is it has a lot of depth to it. The fence is all the way back. Here's my shoulder, but I'm touching the fence with my fingertips. So it's like this far away from the fence that these branches have come out. I could prune them back and have it grow a little tighter to the fence, but I sort of like the flow and the lushness that all of this growth provides. It is a plant that is easy to take care of. I just have to actually prune it back sometimes when it's gotten into areas where I don't want it to grow. It can get quite large. It likes shade, and then it pretty much takes care of itself. When you plant this plant, you'll plant it and it won't be hanging on yet. It won't be until it starts growing. It's that new growth that will grab onto the surface. So you might have to somehow push it back and support it so that the new growth will attach onto the surface. But once it gets going and attaches on, then it'll hold itself up. So this is climbing hydrangea, a great plant for covering a surface, a great plant for the shade, really lush and clean and pretty.